Hey y'all, what's going on? It's Athena Amoeba, your friend in exploring the power of your mind, the power that you can use to create your own universe. Now today's video is going to be a heavy topic. Trigger warning, this video is about suicide and feeling like you don't want to live anymore. So if this is a subject that has been triggering you, if this is a subject that, you think you cannot handle right now, please do not watch this video. Please stop watching it right now. I already recorded this video 2 weeks ago, but you know what, I wasn't happy with it because I think I went too broad. I think I said too much. And I think that this is a really hard topic in a lot of ways. I think it's very linked to depression, but I don't think that that is the only reason people commit suicide. There's lots of different reasons. I cannot speak to all of them. I can't speak to every single person's experience who has either killed themselves or who has felt like they wanted to or who has attempted to. So in this video, I'm really just going to speak to my own experience with this and share how I got myself out of this state various times. Besides me, there are at least 3 people in my life right now who have expressed that they are suicidal, who have expressed that they're thinking these thoughts, and I know that this isn't a new development. It's been a struggle for all of them for a while now, just like it's been a struggle for me. And the thing is, I don't think that everybody feels this way, at least looking at the statistics on from various websites. It's not like 100% of the population feels this way all the time or even some of the time. So I think it's hard to understand when you're not in it, and I think that's why I also wanted to make this video and share it at least from my perspective. Like I said, I can't speak to everyone. I can't speak to a broader experience because there are other experiences out there I'm sure I don't understand. But at least speaking for myself and what I've been through and how I've gotten myself out of it and what's really been the cause of it in the first place for me, I just wanted to share that so that if anyone else out there is feeling this way, you know that you're not alone. And also maybe for those of you who've never felt this way, to maybe understand a little bit more about it, at least from one person's perspective. That being said, I've struggled with feeling suicidal and wanting to kill myself since I was about 15, maybe younger, but I know that that was definitely the first time I really thought about it a lot. And the main reason is, for me, is that I hated myself. I've struggled with very low self-esteem and self-hatred for a really long time, for much longer than 15 years old, for much longer than even my teenage years. I remember being a little kid and being completely ashamed of myself and just feeling disgusted with myself, feeling embarrassed of myself all the time, feeling like I didn't want to be myself. And it's very different from what other people would say that they felt about me. Like, people always thought, oh, you're so loud, you're so funny, you're so happy, you're so cheery, you're so upbeat. Like, I hear this all the time. And on occasions when I would open up to people about how I struggle with depression, they would be shocked. They would, or I would share like my extreme lack of confidence, they would be shocked. And this was a couple years ago. I think if I share that now, it's not as shocking to most people, because it has hit me really, it's hit me really hard for so long that I think the last couple years it has started to show more outwardly in a lot of ways. But before that, people were just shocked to hear that, But it's true. It's like how I was feeling and what I've struggled with and what I've dealt with, and it really all does stem for me personally, from this self-hatred, from this self-loathing, and like this pain. It's such a painful place to be when you hate yourself. And the reason being why is because your life can actually be good. Your life can actually be amazing or outstanding on paper. You can have all the blessings in the world, all the things to be grateful for in the world, but if you hate yourself, there's no point to any of it. There really isn't. if you're not happy with yourself, if you don't feel fulfilled, if you don't feel like you're the person you want to be, if you don't feel like you're living the life you want to live, if you don't feel connected to the person that you are, the external factors really don't mean much. And vice versa, like your external life can be really challenging and on paper could look really rough, can look really like other people might judge it and think, oh, you know, want to feel sorry for you. But if you love yourself, if you have community, if you have like true good relationships, if you have self-esteem, you know, none of that stuff, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but you're gonna be able to have a good life regardless, you know. And so I do think that a lot of it has to do with our mindset. No matter where you are in life, you can have a mindset that you're gonna make the most of what you got. You can have a mindset that you're going to, you know, be grateful for what you have. But I think a huge part of that comes from having a healthy self-esteem and having a healthy relationship with yourself. And if you hate yourself, it doesn't matter how good your life is. Trying to be grateful for what you have externally doesn't really help if what's causing it is internal and it's just this disgust and self-loathing. And where this comes from, you know, I'm not really sure. I think people who struggle with self-hatred, it comes from different places. I think most of us probably have a history with some form of abuse in our past in our lives, and we really learned somewhere along the line, especially from a young age, that we were worthless, that we were not good enough, that we were disgusting, that we should be ashamed of ourselves. You know, I definitely know that was a part of my experience. Shame was the big one. It's like I should always be ashamed of myself at all times for every little thing. And I think I really internalized that. And it wasn't until recent years that I started to really unpack that. And I'm not trying to dwell on the past or you know, be a victim of this my whole life. And I'm going to make a video about the power triangle and how to go from being a victim in your life to being a creator and being reclaiming your power, basically. Because it's not about what you've been through, but it's about how you respond. And that's the key thing. You have the power in that. So yeah, I've been living with this like pain for a long time. And it's gotten worse over the last year. Over the last couple of years. I'd say probably between the ages 22 to 27, it got really, really, really bad. Like I just felt like I didn't deserve to live. Like, what was the point? You know, what's the point? And then I just felt stuck. I felt like there's a lot of situations in my life that I felt powerless to. I think that I was trying to cope with past trauma in ways that also negatively affected me. So like overeating, overspending, overdrinking. You know, it really was just trying to cope with past trauma that I had never really processed before. And so that being said, I just felt really out of control of my life for the last couple of years, which is why I've actively been trying to transform it. But in that process of, you know, like reading the Tony Robbins stuff, thinking about the personal development, learning about the law of attraction, trying to change the way that I think, trying to change the way that I think about myself and feel about myself, trying to develop healthy confidence, healthy self-love. It's been a bumpy road, right? Like I've come from extreme self-hatred and basically on the scale of emotions coming from feeling the very bottom rung of vibrations, which is that of shame, just feeling extreme shame and powerlessness for a really long time, disgust with myself, all that stuff. That even in making progress, like, you know, you take a couple steps forward, you take a couple steps back, you take a couple steps forward, but it's still all in that like same range, and it's painful. It's really like actually painful, even physically painful. And so doing basic things is really challenging, you know, like even wanting to wake up in the morning, even wanting to get ready, because it's like, what's the point? I'm just gonna look hideous anyway, I'm just gonna look disgusting anyway. And like my self-hatred isn't only about my looks, but it's a part of it, you know. It's definitely a big part of it. And it kept me from doing basic stuff. Like the last couple of years I've been struggling financially. I've mostly been working with nonprofits. In the last couple of years though, I got into a lot of debt. Like, I've been living paycheck to paycheck for so long with like paying all my bills, and I'm lucky if I have $20 afterwards. And then on the rare occasion, I'll be lucky to have $100 afterwards, you know, or like I'll get my tax return and I'll get some money and I'll be able to buy clothes, you know. And most of my clothes are really old and are like this situation going on, like rips and tears and just like frayed. This shirt's more relatively new. It's one of the 3 pieces I bought like 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago. But anyway, yeah, so, you know, on a rare occasion I'll like get some money, and again, I'm not in the biggest financial struggle ever. Like, I could eat, I'm very fortunate in a lot of ways, but, you know, but there is still like a bit of financial struggle in the sense of like I can't even pay all my bills all the time, you know. And I'm like, I don't get stressed about that though, because I learned a long time ago, like, what are you gonna do? Like, it's not gonna help me to get stressed about something that is gonna be what it is, you know. So I got in a lot of debt. There's a lot of bills I can't pay sometimes, but I don't stress about it most of the time because, like I said, it's not gonna do me any good to stress. And thankfully, see, this is what I mean by I'm not like in the biggest struggle, but thankfully I'm able to pay my most important bills most of the time, but it's just ones that, you know, I owe on stuff, but they're not going to necessarily repossess anything if I don't pay it, that I don't pay those because I can't. Anyway, well, the reason I'm bringing this up is because I feel like this extreme self-hatred has even stopped me from doing basic stuff like going out and getting a second job, you know. Like, I worked in restaurants and retail, and I've worked in the service industry for a lot of years, so it's not like I can't go out and do that, or like I feel like that's something that I wouldn't do. I absolutely would. I've been talking about going and getting a job at a restaurant for a long time because when you get tips, it's actually really fucking nice. But my self-hatred has stopped me because I just feel like I know what I'm going to feel like in that atmosphere. I'm going to feel so insecure. It's going to be like all these people. It's exhausting, and not because it's hard work, which it is. Serving is a lot of work. But the part that was most exhausting to me is just knowing already that I'm going to feel so insecure, and every moment is just going to feel like agony, because I feel like sometimes the way you have to dress in a lot of service jobs, especially serving jobs, at least for me, isn't very flattering. So I already don't feel good about myself, and then I'm gonna have to wear something that makes me feel even worse about myself. It's like I just got to the point where like I was at such low levels of self-esteem, I just couldn't even handle it, you know? I just couldn't even handle the idea of it, even though I should have, and like I needed to make more money. Like, I would rather live out of my car than go and put myself in that situation. That's like basically where I was at, you know, with my levels of self-hatred, and it has affected my life in a real way, you know. It stopped me from doing stuff. So all that to be said, you know, it's not like I think about killing myself every single day, but, you know, when my self-esteem gets so low, or when I'm just so tired of feeling this way, when I'm so tired of feeling like I hate myself, it's when I start thinking about it. I just start thinking like I should just kill myself. I should just kill myself. Like, I don't want to be alive. I don't want to do this anymore, you know. And it's not that I don't want to live. It's like I just don't want to be in this pain anymore, you know. And I think that that's a big reason a lot of people end up killing themselves, is they're in pain for one reason or another. They feel like their situation can't change, and, you know, ending your life seems like the only way out. It's not. It never is. Or I shouldn't speak for other people's experience because I don't know. It almost never is. There's almost always a way out. The thing is, we just don't see it, and that's why this seems like the easy way out. So that being said, having experienced this for a really long time, there are times more recently that I have gotten really low, where I've gotten really to that point, and where the thought switched from I should kill myself to how am I going to kill myself. And I know that when it switches to that, that's bad. It's really bad. Because it's less of a theoretical and more of a like tangible, looking for an active way to do so. So that being said, the first time in the recent months that I felt this way was in October of 2016. and I just felt so low, so down on myself. I just couldn't take it anymore. I just remembered thinking through different ways that I would do it, and like, how can I actually make sure that I don't fail at that too, and also thinking about like family reactions, like how can I do it in a way that isn't so traumatizing. But once I started to think those thoughts, this was in October, and I remember just like physically I just felt so much pain. It was all like emotional driven, but I just felt pain physically. Like, I don't even know how to explain it, but it was all kind of like in this area. It's just so painful, and I got myself out of it because I was thinking these thoughts. I was just ready to end it. I felt so trapped, basically. And thankfully I had been reading Awaken the Giant Within. Thankfully I had been into all this personal development stuff, and that's why I'm so into it. I know it plays a really important role. It can, And so I remember thinking, like kind of just pausing where I was at. I was like, okay, I'm feeling this way because I feel absolutely powerless in my situation. And I know from reading all the things that I've read, I've known from studying everything that I've studied, that I'm not. I was like, but I'm focusing on areas that I am powerless in. I'm focusing on areas that I don't have any control over. So what can I focus on that will give me power? If I want things in my life to change so badly that I'm willing to end it because I feel trapped, what are the things that I want to change? Like, let me think critically about this. What are the things that I can't take anymore? What are the things that I feel like I can't stand anymore? And how could those possibly change? I took a look at a list. A lot of the things I felt totally powerless in. There was one thing that I had control over. And one of the things that I wasn't happy with, like, because it was this whole big list, right, of things that I wasn't happy with about myself and my life or whatever. And I felt like really powerless to a lot of them. But there was one I had control over, and that was my weight. And I hadn't made any progress in weight loss, even though I had talked about it on and off for a couple years, and all I seemed to do was gain weight. I gained 90 pounds in 7 years, and I was just continuing to gain weight. And I wasn't happy with myself. I wasn't happy with what I saw in the mirror. I wasn't happy with what I saw in pictures. Now, this isn't the reason that I wanted to kill myself, but it didn't help, right? It didn't help with my already low self-esteem. So of all the list of things, I was like, what's the easiest thing that I can take control over right now? And I was like, my weight. So I decided that day, okay, you need to change something in your life. You need to, see something change. You need to feel like you're getting unstuck. Then take control in this area where you have power. And so I did. It totally just shifted where I was at, because before I was thinking about like, how am I going to do this? How am I going to kill myself? I can't take this anymore. I can't feel like this anymore. I can't live like this anymore. To I have control over something. And it just shifted my whole mood. I actually remember feeling motivated, excited, and just like I was clinging to that. I was clinging to that, and it was making me feel excited. So what a shift in moods, right? Because this was all in one day, and it was all by myself, right? Like, I didn't turn to anybody. I didn't tell anybody that I was feeling this way. I was dealing with it all by myself, and I got myself out of that by thinking these things and actually using the tools that I had been reading about. And I'm not going to say that this is what's going to help everybody, right? I'm just sharing my story and what helped me, and knowing that, when a lot of people get to that point, it's because of this feeling of powerlessness. But we're never powerless. We always have control over something, even if it's control over what we think or what we're going to focus on, and everybody's situation is different, so it'll be different for you. But for me, that was something I could cling to. I was like, okay, I'm unhappy with my body. I'm unhappy with my weight. I have the power to change that. I directly, actively have the power to change that. Let me focus on that. And a couple weeks before that, I had watched this video about this guy who lost a bunch of weight on this potato diet. All he ate was potatoes for every meal, no salt, no sugar, no nothing. All you could do was boil them or bake them and eat them. That's it. So I decided I'm going to do this potato diet thing. So I did that for like a week. And then after that, I ate potatoes and veggie pho, or it was not real pho, but it was like veggie, some form of veggie noodle soup, and it was just vegetables and vegetable broth and rice noodles, and that's like all I ate for 2 weeks, and I actually lost 15 pounds, which I think is like way too much to lose in 2 weeks, but I lost that. I started at 220, and then I gained some of it back, but I never went above 213 again. So I actually effectively lost 7 pounds. And that was a shift, you know. It showed me that I do have control, and I was able to like navigate other situations. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm making this, I don't mean to make this sound like this solved all my problems or I magically just felt wonderful about everything. No, but focus is so powerful. If you could focus on something, nothing else matters. It's what you focus on. So I was just focusing on what I could control. I could control what I ate. I could control just eating potatoes for 2 weeks and like veggie pho for like the next week, and I actually lost weight, and I didn't stick to a diet. At that point, I basically lost 7 pounds. I didn't lose anything else until probably January, and that's when I lost the rest of those first 30 pounds that I had lost. And anyway, but the point is, it gave me something to focus on, and it showed me that I do have power. I do have control. I started feeling like that again a couple months ago, and it was really just, I was just down on myself. There's a lot of reasons I was down on myself again, and I same thing, my thoughts were starting to go down that way, like I should just kill myself and all this stuff, and I said, okay, you're doing it again, you're feeling really powerless. What's something you have control over, or you have power in your life, or what's an area you have some power in your life? And again, like I said, a lot of my clothes are really old. I was feeling really frumpy. I was feeling really disgusted with myself. There was nothing in my closet. And when I say nothing in my closet, like, you know, I see a lot of people have these like mass closets with like all these clothes, and I think it's wonderful. Like, I wouldn't mind having that. But I have like maybe a couple articles of clothing. Like, I really do just have a few, and most of them I don't feel good in, you know. Now that I've started to feel better about myself, it matters less, but at that point when I was just feeling so bad, like, it just added to it, right? Like, I look in the mirror and I'm like, ugh, like, I look awful, I look so frumpy, I look like a grandma, you know. I didn't like how I looked, so, and my makeup too, everything, just everything. I didn't feel good about myself. So again, what do I have control over? I focused on, okay, if I could just get a couple new clothes, maybe I'll feel better. If I could just like learn to do my makeup a little bit better, maybe I'll feel better. So I just started focusing on making that happen. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. I was behind on some paychecks, or I didn't have a lot of money at the time because I was trying to catch up. It was like barely gonna be my third paycheck that I got at my new job, and my first paycheck that I got was only for $300, so I had a lot of catching up to do with bills. But thankfully, it was my birthday, so my amazing family members sent me, you know, like gifts, and because I'm so far, they sent me like mostly money. So I was like, oh my god, like, it was just like perfect timing, it being my birthday, and like I'm just so thankful to them because they always like make me feel special on my birthday, and honestly, if it wasn't for them, maybe I wouldn't have been able to do this. So I went out and I bought a couple of clothing items and I actually felt better about myself in, and started doing my makeup different, and it just gave me a boost I needed. And then shortly after that, I started focusing on my weight again. So it's really not that simple for everyone, but for me, like, what I found was, like, when I get to that point, I'm just feeling powerless and just finding something to focus on, right? It doesn't have to change your whole life. It doesn't have to solve every problem in your life, but if you find something to focus on and focus on that, focus on an area where you have power, focus on an area where you have control. Don't focus on the areas of your life where you don't have power or control. That's a losing game. Where do you have control in your life? Where do you have power? That's what got me out of feeling suicidal, feeling like killing myself at the critical moments when it was almost down to the wire, you know? Lately, that's what's been working for me. So again, this isn't a reflection of everyone's experience. This isn't going to help everybody, but it's what helped me, and I hope that maybe this will help somebody else out there. You're not powerless. If you're feeling powerless and stuck in your life, you're not. There's some area you have control over, and you just need to reclaim that power and put your focus on something that you have control over. Put your focus on something that makes you feel hopeful versus hopeless and stuck. And if you cannot relate to this, and if your situation is very different, you know, I definitely don't have all the answers. I definitely haven't experienced this from all angles or every situation. But I hope you do know that there are people who share your struggle, who share your experience. There are people you can talk to about it. You're not alone, you know? And in the description section, I'm going to put some numbers for some hotlines. If you're really feeling this, if you're really feeling bad, if you're really feeling like you might take your life, please call somebody. Please reach out to somebody. Like, you're valuable. Your life does have meaning. I don't care who you are. I don't care how valueless you feel. I don't care how powerless you feel. You're here, you know? It's a miracle that you're here. You're here because the universe wanted you to be, you know? And maybe you don't know what your divine purpose is. Maybe we don't have divine purposes. It doesn't matter. Regardless, you're valuable, and your existence means something. So please reach out if you're feeling down. I know this is a heavy topic. I know this is a really serious post, but I just wanted to share that because it's really what I had been experiencing, and I know I'm not the only one. So much love to y'all. Like, infinite amounts of love to anybody out there who's experiencing this. Infinite amounts of love to everyone, because we all have our own different types of struggles. And you're not alone in them. Even if I personally don't share your struggle, someone else out there does. You're never alone, and there's always time to turn it around. Until next time, y'all, remember, you have power. You have the control to focus your intentions, your energy, your mind on things that are within your control, on good things. So much love to all of y'all out there.